that happened not too long ago. You see, I remember coming to these types of events, and I thought at the time I was the youngest person in the room. Well, that's no longer the case, is it? As we get older, we get wiser, my daughter reminds me. Well, this happened not too long ago. I was in a McDonald's drive-thru, and I guess I was taking a little too long at the window trying to place my order because the lady behind me was honking her horn saying, "You son of a, just move it," right? I'm like, oh, gee, here we go. So I get to the first window, so what do? I decide I'm just gonna pay for her meal too. So I pay for her meal, and I ask the cashier for both receipts, and I get both receipts. As I'm proceeding to the first window, I look in my rearview mirror, and I can see her all of a sudden changing her tune. She's waving out the window, thank you, oh my God, thank you, as to say that was probably the nicest thing that's happened to her in quite some time. Probably a little embarrassed that I was taking her rudeness for some kindness, right? I was trying to be kind to her. Well, as the second cashier as I approached the second cashier, I gave the second cashier both receipts, and I proceeded to take her food too, and I drove away. Lesson of the story: don't honk your horn at old people. All right, folks. A real pleasure to introduce this gentleman, Temoc. He has done something that many of us would like to do. Look, before we get started, let's talk a little bit about the audience. How many of us, by chance, own restaurants? Raise the hands.
Or have.
Or have, thank you. Thank you, or have, thank you, excellent. How many of us would like to open up a restaurant? Raise of hands. Awesome, perfect, because everything he says is going to matter today. And one of the questions I want to begin with is to ask Temoc if he can share with us a little bit about his story. What inspired him to do the things that he's done? And I'm going to allow him to tell you how he started and how many restaurants he currently has. It's quite a few. Temoc?
Thank you very much, Mario. Thanks everybody for being here, for taking the time this evening to join us. It's my pleasure and also my family's pleasure to be here and be invited as a guest speaker. Thank you, Mario. Thanks everyone. For us here in America, I was born in Mexico, Guadalajara, Jalisco, which is a big city just like Chicago. I've been here for 40 plus years. When my dad decided that we were gonna cross the border, come to America in search of the American dream. I was 10 years old, 11 years old. For me, it was like an adventure. But being here, going to school here, adapting to a new language, culture, was very shocking. Not only for me, but for my entire family. My dad had to start.
How many members of the family were you?
At that time, we were 10, and one was born here. And so it was quite a few of us. And so we, adapting to a new culture, new language was really, really tough. I must say, I'm still learning the language. But one thing I always say when people ask me, what is your experience here in North America, in America for you? I always like to say that, God bless this country for being such a open arms to all immigrants. Because when we arrived in Chicago, we arrived in Pilsen. A lot of you might be familiar, the Pilsen neighborhood. That's always been a port of entry for immigrants, for Czechoslovakians, Polish, and then Mexicans. And so, you gotta thank this country for being the great country that it is, giving so many people opportunities. Those people that take advantage of those opportunities, the sky is the limit. I always say that anybody in this country who does not make it, who doesn't have a decent job, or doesn't open up a business or be successful, is because you don't really want to. I always say it. So I always like to thank this country for embracing us. And so when we arrived here, my brothers and sisters, they started working at factory jobs. My dad was working in Chinatown as a dishwasher, was doing 2 shifts. My stepmom as well. And I remember going to Chinatown. That's why I love Chinese food, because I would go there I would fall asleep under the tables at night while my dad and my stepmom were working. And it was a rough, it was a rough adaptation to reaching the American dream. My dad worked really hard, my stepmother worked really hard, my brothers and sisters worked really hard. My family has always been very, very supportive of each other, especially, but especially me, because I've always had crazy ideas while growing up. I decided that I wanted to open up a gym. I opened up a neighborhood gym. I was the first one to go to college. I remember going to NIU, and my family would go visit me and take me maruchans and take me food, give me some money. I was always, I'm always grateful to my family because they have always been there for me. And so when I had the opportunity going through college and coming back, and actually I'll tell you one thing, my real and passion at the time was politics. I decided that I would take on to political science. I received a bachelor's degree in political science at NIU, and my dad never liked it. Never liked it. He said, "Son, being a politician is the wrong thing to do. You're not fit for that. You're too honest. You're too transparent. People are never happy. You're gonna have some people that are happy, some people that are gonna be unhappy. Some people will like you, some people won't. And so, do something else. Whatever you do, you're gonna be successful in it." Of course, I didn't listen, right? So I did it for 7, 8 years. And one day I woke up and I said, "What am I doing? My dad keeps telling me politics is not for you." And so one day I realized it's not for me. So I said, I left it cold turkey. And I said, we're gonna leave politics. My family supporting me all the time. I had them knocking on doors, below zero winters here in Chicago. They were, so we all had an experience in politics, and I don't regret it. Never regret what you do, because every experience is a learning experience, and it makes you a greater person. It made me a greater person. I met a lot of people in Chicago and suburbs. People knew me. And so the people that knew me and supported me, they knew that I meant well and that I wanted to make a difference. But anyway, so then my second dream or choice was to open up a restaurant, a taqueria. And I was truly inspired by Chipotle. Being very successful. I said I wanted to be fast casual. I wanted to be a Chipotle, but I knew that I wanted to be authentic. I know that we wanted to serve authentic Mexican food. And so Jalisco is one of the best states in Mexico that have the best pastor, which is the marinated pork. And I said, that's what we want to do, the carne asada tacos in the authentic Mexican way, which is onion cilantro. And so we started the journey. One day I said, let's do it. We opened up our first location on Lake and Mannheim in Stone Park, small village in the suburbs. And while doing that, we were also already talking to Rosemont to open up a location over there. So throughout the growth and opening up Cilantro's locations, every village, as you guys know, everybody's different, right? So everybody requires something different. Some are harder to deal with, some are easier to deal with. So everything has been a challenge for us. Till this day, restaurant business, as you know, and everybody who works at a restaurant or owns a restaurant, it's a very challenging business. It's a 24/7 job. And so, but it's been a really good experience for us because we're passionate about it. We love it. My family, of course, supported me, and I'll end up with this because I'm talking too much. But my first goal was to have every sibling, get everybody out of the factories, get everybody out of their jobs, and have a location for every one of my siblings. And thankfully that was achieved. Everybody who wanted to be involved, and practically everybody has a location, more than one. And my second goal was to become a franchise. And that's where we are right now.
And we're going to talk about that in just a moment, but I want to ask you, how did you come up with the name Cilantro, and how difficult was it to finally land that name?
So a sister of mine was, we were working with my brother who has a construction company. We were at his office and we were thinking about the name because the opportunity knocked on my door, Lake in Manheim, location where Taqueria left. And I said, we gotta think of the name and we gotta think about, fast. And so we were throwing out names, jalapeno, we were throwing just tacos, I remember that one. And we said, and I said, my sister said cilantro. And I said, taco grill. And so that's what it was. I knew that from the beginning that, that my two goals was the siblings and also to become a franchise. So I knew that, the logo had to look right, the colors, vibrant and inviting.
Are you doing new construction or are you conversions on your locations?
We've done some new construction and conversions as well. So
Okay.
second generation restaurant.
And how many units do you have today?
Currently we have 15 and tortilla factory, so 16 locations and working on 2 right now.
Imagine that. Now, I only have 3 locations and I've been doing this for 10 years. 15, it's a big number, especially, and would you consider yourself a family-owned restaurant company?
Absolutely. We are family owned and operated and we all support each other. And in every family, obviously, there's disagreements and there's, everybody wants to maybe put in some enchiladas or something. We stuck to the menu and we have stuck together so that, everybody's in agreement. Every move that we make, everybody has to agree to it.
What would you say is one of your biggest challenges working with a multi-unit restaurant company today?
It's very challenging, especially nowadays. We were talking earlier about this inflation recession that we're going through. I think all restaurants are feeling it right now, and we ask each other, it's like, hey, was it slow yesterday for you guys? Was it slow last month, last week? And yeah, it's Chicago suburbs has become a very competitive market when it comes to especially Mexican restaurants. I'm sure you noticed that, there's been taquerias opening up everywhere. And like you were saying, it does take a toll on us. But, some come and go, but, it makes a difference.
Yeah, I argue that we can't raise our prices fast enough. I mean, we just got our insurance renewed and it went up 20% and I'm scratching my head saying, 20%, really, 20? Just crazy, things are just crazy out there. What kind of advice would you give to somebody who wants to open up their first restaurant?
First of all, you have to analyze, right? Is that really what you want to do? Because for me, it's always about, am I going to like what I'm going to do? Because if I like it and I'm going to be passionate about it, you're going to be successful. If you're going to do it just to try out and see, try something new, more than likely you're going to fail. Because a restaurant business is you have to be 100% dedicated. And you have to love it. You got to love food. You got to love cooking, serving people more than anything. Customer service is super, super important. And we cannot stress enough to our employees on a daily basis. It's like, please be nice to people. They're coming in, they're giving us their business and we live off of them. That's our paycheck right there.
So with such a large organization, how are you attracting new talent, fresh, excited talent these days?
New talent, you mean by
employees.
Employees. So, COVID came and changed everything for us, right? Not only restaurants, but across the board for anything. We've learned a lot. Retaining employees has been such a challenge. For us, I know that, for us and my family, when we hire somebody, we tell them, you're coming into the Cilantro family. You are gonna be family, you are gonna be valued, respected, and no nonsense. Because if you are loyal to Cilantro Taco Grill, you're being loyal to us, and therefore there's a future here for you. Because I like to say, with the franchise now, part of my plan and one of the reasons, and I'm jumping a little bit, one of the reasons why I love working with FranSmart, which is the company that we're working with for franchising, and also the Singer Pitbull, is that we share, we share the same values.
Yeah.
And one of those core values and one of those things that we share is that we want to give our employees an opportunity to also open a Cilantro and also become owners.
Excellent, and he said something, I want to share this with you, you may not know this. Is anyone familiar with the, what would you call him, singer, entertainer named Pitbull? He's
Yes.
internationally known, but tell us how he's working with you folks.
So, we're really blessed to have, nowadays, as you know, celebrities are going into the food industry, they're going into the tequila, the liquor. And that's a smart move because they don't want to put all their eggs in one basket. One day, they're not going to be as famous, right? Years do pass by and, new singers come by. And so, Pitbull, Armando Cristian Perez, that's his real name. He's got his hands into a lot of things. He's into the NASCAR. He's the cruise lines. Actually, as a matter of fact, he just partnered up with somebody and opened up a gyro sandwich place in Las Vegas inside of Walmart. So he's a smart businessman. Very, very down to earth guy. I met with him just last week. We had an interview for the Franchise Times. Really down to earth, really simple guy, and also immigrant parents from Cuba. He went through a rough teenage year through gangs and drugs and that, and then was given an opportunity, became very successful, and now he's building schools for second chance students with that drop out and have trouble. So he's giving back to the community, and that's one of the things that I'm really I was very convinced. To have him join Cilantro Taco Grill. And those are the core values that we share with FranSmart and Pitbull.
Well said. This will be my last question, then I'm going to open it up to you all. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask Temoc, I'll hand you the microphone. Can you share with us something funny that's happened along the way?
Oh my goodness, a lot of things have happened funny along the way. You guys want to share something happened in Cilantro? So I got, my sister Sonia here, my husband, Laura, my sister, my brother-in-law, and I got Kiana, Aaron, my son, Ivan, Rihanna. So I got everybody involved in Cilantro. If one of our daughters or sons or anybody gets a girlfriend, boy, they're into Cilantro automatically. They better be
in the family, all in the family. That's great.
Yeah, they're gonna start, flipping tortillas and taking orders and that. So we've had along the way, we have had so many memorable stories with our employees. We value so much our employees that every year we do Christmas parties. We do, whenever somebody's birthday, we all get together. It's one big family. And to answer your question, that I probably didn't answer it completely, is like retention of employees. You have to value your employees. You have to really show them that you really care, because they're the engine of the business. And so if you mistreat them, disrespect them, they're gonna steal from you. They're gonna throw away food. So, the smartest way, to go about that is valuing your employees.
Yeah, well said. People often ask me, who's more important, the guest or the staff? Well, we know we can't have the guest without the staff. So staff are way, way, way up there. Anybody have questions they want to ask or share? Yeah, please, let me give you the microphone.
Well, I loud enough.
Okay, very good.
Thanks.
Be loud, yeah.
So how do you differentiate yourself? Because I know that you are, for example, in Lincoln Park, you're right across from another well-known
Velvet
taqueria.
Taco, yeah.
Now, I have to say that your food is better, but
Thank
how
you.
do you differentiate and how do you let the neighborhood know that you are authentic?
So,
question.
yeah, Sonia's right here. She's the one that
I
owns
know.
Lincoln Park. So, we're not gonna lie, right? We are going against, Velvet Taco. Velvet Taco is a franchise, well-known. They have, it's a different concept from us. They're more into the presentation of the tacos, the crunchy tacos. We don't have crunchy tacos. So their menu varies a little bit from us, and it's been very challenging. I'm not gonna lie. It's been an uphill road, but we're there. Our concept is totally different. For us, I'll tell you, in Rosemont, when we first opened in Rosemont, which is a very similar to Lincoln Park, well, not really, but in Rosemont was very challenging because we had to find ourselves kind of like educating our customers, because our customers would come in, and don't get me wrong, this is good. They would ask for a steak taco and they wanted lettuce, tomato, avocado, cheese, like the works, right? Which is all extra, right? But we would say, but they started asking, well, what's the original and authentic way? Onion cilantro, right? And then, of course, our famous house salsa is to die for, so.
And I would compliment that answer because I visited his units. When people come to Chicago and they want good Mexican food, we typically send them to the Pilsen area. But I would argue, if you want to go to Pilsen, go to a Cilantro, because it feels so fresh and so authentic that would be my answer, is that you have wonderfully fresh and authentic food.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Pilsen is definitely a great.
Please.
Do you have plans to take it south of Highway 80 down to the real cornland of Illinois?
Absolutely. We have plans to just blow up everywhere, God willing. So right now, we are actually became officially a franchise about 8 months ago, and we have a lot of prospects. We have a lot of applicants, and as a matter of fact, just about a month ago, we have our first franchisee who's going to be opening up in Sugar Grove. And then today, on my way over here, I was given the great news that there was another franchisee who's going to open up in Mount Prospect. He signed it today. And then we have another one who is going to, who actually already signed and deposited, signed the FTP and everything, from California. He's going to open up 6 locations in Texas, in the Dallas, Texas area, and later in California. So we are blessed. Thank you very much. And the guy from California, he owns 8 Jersey Mikes. And he came over here and he just loved the concept. My God, he ate so many tacos and tortas. I thought he was gonna blow up.
That's great. Please.
Eventually, you probably grow large enough to have to maybe have a commissary. Are you trying to grow where it's like all just in time and no commissary?
No, actually, we're working on a commissary right now, and we're getting really, really close, because it's gonna be an impossibility. So let me tell you, part of the experience is growing to 15 locations is having a prep person, a main cook, preparing the pastor, the asada, all the, the milanesas and everything in each location. So we got some feedback from, as we grew, from our customers, like, wait a minute, I went to Elgin and the steak was a little different, the marination was a little different, the pastor was a little different from Stone Park or from Rosemont. So obviously each hand is different, right? Maybe a little more salt, a little less pepper or whatnot. And so commissary kitchen is a very, very important step for us, especially franchising, because for one, a franchisee is not going to want to have a prep person in there. So the less labor that you can cut, the less liability, the less water, gas, electricity, and all that. It's less expenses, more profits for the
And consistency.
And consistency, very, very important.
Gentlemen over here.
Hi. First off, I just want to say my wife and I had lunch at your Yorktown location in Lombard. It was terrific.
Awesome.
And about the tortilla factory,
Yes.
does that just supply your restaurants? Do you sell to grocery stores, other restaurants?
So the tortilla factory, we opened about maybe 5 years ago, and while we were growing in numbers of locations, we thought it'd be a good idea to make our own tortillas. So 3 of us got together, brothers, and we said, let's look for a machine. And we went all the way to California, because funny enough, all the tortilla machines are made or are in California. So we went all the way over there, we bought a machine, and we decided we were gonna open up the tortilla factory. But now, good problem to have, right? Now, we can't, supply all the locations, and we're not gonna be able to supply Dallas and California and as we grow. So, our recipe is very similar to El Milagro tortilla, which they're monstrous. So through Cisco, US Foods, we're gonna be able to ship out the tortillas, whether it's from our factory or Milagro.
Great. Excellent question. Thank you. Gentlemen?
Keep the local one going for local restaurants?
The factory?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, anybody has a chance to stop by, it's on North Avenue in, Stone Park, 1326, what's the address?
3316.
Huh?
3316.
3316
south
North
side.
Avenue. Yeah, stop by, you can actually go in there and you'll see all the machines. It's really cool how, so in the beginning, what we said is we wanted to have a glass so that when people come, they can see the machine making the tortillas. And at one point I said, let's get the local elementary schools and the Head Starts, the kids to come in there and see how the tortillas are made. So we've done that a couple of times, so it's pretty cool. Yeah, we're gonna keep it for sure, yeah.
Excellent, thank you. Madam?
If you were to start all over again, what would you do differently this time?
Nice question.
Oh, very good question. Become a franchise right away. No, impossible. You know, it's becoming a franchise, and I'll answer your question, but it's not easy becoming a franchise. Some people do it at one location, 3 locations. There is no right number for starting a franchise. I say that, to be a franchise, you gotta have the experience, you gotta have done the walk, right? And you gotta have had the experience long enough to decide whether you wanna become a franchise or not. Because becoming a franchise is this is an advice, right, for anybody considering becoming a franchise. Don't cut corners. You cut corners, you're gonna fail. Hire a franchise attorney, hire a company that has experience in franchising. FranSmart, the one that we hired, they have a lot of experience. They've done Five Guys, Qdoba Grill, Halal Guys. So they've done they have a lot of experience. Because a lot of people, when I was inquiring about becoming a franchise, they're like, oh, do it yourself. Don't spend thousands and thousands of dollars. But you gotta be able to invest. You gotta be able to spend and take those risks like that, because it minimizes the risk. But what would I do? Something different would probably be, I don't know, have more siblings to help out.
Or
I
run
don't
for
think
mayor.
we can have enough.
Excellent question, thank you. Anyone else? So here's a question I'll ask you. We're going through some turbulent times, right? We've talked about contracting, the economy contracting, we've talked about inflation. What advice do we give restaurant operators out there dealing with turbulent times today?
It's really tough. We were saying in the beginning that, we're going through some rough times in the restaurant industry especially, right? It feels like a full recession, inflation, right? Because you find yourself selling less, people coming into dining less, right? Families are holding back, they're cooking more at home, trying to, save some money or, not spend so much money. And so one advice would be consistency in quality. Do not downgrade on your quality because you're selling less, and because meats, proteins are getting more expensive. God, they're like the steak that we use, it goes up to $11, $12 a pound. And so it's like, oh my God, how much do we sell a taco for? $10? And you can't. I mean, there's only so much you can raise a taco, a burrito, a torta. But do not downgrade. You gotta stay consistent on what you serve from when you started. We started and we started really successful, and thankfully, and thank God, we continue to do that, and we have taken a hit. And this is because also it's become very competitive. A lot of taquerias everywhere. There's a taqueria in every corner now.
Yeah.
What happened to the liquor stores? Now there's taquerias. So it's become very competitive. So you gotta stay tough.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. The barriers to entry are low, so you get restaurant operators opening up all the time, and what it does is it hurts us if they don't make it, and often they don't make it. Question over here, please.
What's your thought of passing a service charge onto the guests that use a credit card versus cash?
Excellent question.
Very good question, and I think most of our locations have passed on the processing fee to the customer, because, you know, it's tough. I don't like to do that, because, you know, you gotta value the customer, but you take a big hit every end of the month. I mean, it adds up.
3%, it's
Oh my
3%.
God, it adds up, and we were just getting hurt left and right, so we said, hey, we gotta sacrifice that. We gotta pass on the processing fee to the customer, and the customer doesn't feel it as much. You know, I go as a customer somewhere and it's, you know, cents, maybe $1 or whatnot. For us, it'll add up to, you know, $3,000, $6,000 a month. So it's rough, but it's, you know, something you gotta do.
Excellent question. Over here, sir?
You mentioned COVID already, and having made it through that, and one of the things that's on a lot of our minds, have you returned to your pre-COVID levels of sales and all the rest? Or if not, when do you expect that to be attained?
We are almost back to normal. We've taken off guards. We have, you know, we continue to use gloves. It's kind of, sometimes, you know, depending on the county, depending on the inspector, some inspectors want you to use gloves, some don't. So it gradually, we're getting back to normal. But what we have been seeing is that, you know, if anybody's thinking about, you know, opening up a Cilantro, because we're franchising now, look for a drive-through location. Drive-through is the future of fast food, of QSR. I mean, it's the future. Most of our locations that have drive-throughs, and I think it's 6 locations, 70% of our sales are through the drive-through. Because nowadays, it's like people don't want to get out, less contact, right? 1. 2, they have an elderly person in there, or a baby, or a pet. And so, drive-throughs are a must.
Good. How much weight do you place on reviews? You know, those Yelp and Google reviews, do you place much weight on those?
We really don't pay too much attention to that, because a lot of times, you know, people are just putting, you know, something that really is nonsense. You know, most of the time it's just nonsense, or somebody, you know, who's competing with you, sending someone over. But you know, unfortunately, it does. A lot of people do see that. I mean, you look for Mexican food around me, and you know, 5 stars. Oh, that's the one, right? So it makes a difference. You know, technology, social media nowadays is unbelievable.
Excellent. Gentlemen?
I was just curious on, with margins becoming, razor thin, how do you not, lower your quality, but still keep a high quality and still make profitability? I know it's a balance,
Yeah,
but
it is.
how do you,
And that's when, unfortunately, you gotta cut hours of employees.
so labor?
And you know, I hate to do that. And employees, you know, they need their jobs, they need their paycheck, and they need those, 30, 40 hours. And unfortunately, sometimes that's what you gotta do, cut the hours in order to keep that quality, pay.
How often do you guys have to raise prices, though?
Last year, we raised them twice, right? Twice, pennies here and there, 50 cents or 40 cents, but twice, and that's unheard of. I remember we started in 2013, and we didn't raise our prices till probably 5 years after that. Yeah, different times.
Excellent question, thank you. Sir?
Could you touch on your relationship with third-party ordering apps like DoorDash and Uber Eats? How you guys
Great question.
like those, or if you don't like them?
You know what? We love them because, a lot of our sales go through that. Nowadays, talk about COVID, people are just utilizing these third parties, Uber Eats, Grubhub, DoorDash, what's the other one? Easy Cater, which is big orders now. There's many out there, and more pop out, but they help a lot. They help a lot on our sales, for sure. So it's very, very useful. You gotta pay the price, right? You gotta they still honor our prices.
Excellent question. So, gentlemen, please.
Yeah, what do you think about the restaurant technologies for franchise like you? Like McDonald's has
The
probably
POS?
much advanced,
Technology.
you probably bought from them?
Yeah, I always say, and this is why, you know, my son and my nephew and the younger generations that are coming into the business, that's their job, to take it to the next level and to stay afloat and to stay with the rhythm of social media. That's really, really important, because if you're a restaurant or any business and you're not with technology and you're not with, you know, apart with technology, you're not gonna make it anywhere, because social media is very key, very important. And that also, I don't know if he was asking about the POS, point of sale. There's so many out there that they confuse you, right? And they offer you the stars and the moon, right? And then they say, you know, we're the best one, and you know, our fees are better. But right now we have, and it's not a commercial, we have Spot On, and so far we're pretty busy with Spot On. Oh, somebody is a fan over there. So there's a lot of POS, there's a lot of systems out there, and you know, again, technology, right?
How are you managing your social media, since you brought it up? Yeah.
So we tried, you know, like many others, maybe we tried different companies, you know, small marketing companies. We had a young guy fresh out of college who opened up his marketing media company. We gave him a shot for almost 2 years, and it wasn't really doing a lot for us, so we had to look for another company. We hired a company in Mexico. We've done it, and now we finally landed, I think, and they gave us a presentation, gave us a tour of their facility, very professional. They do for Taco Bell, Buffalo Wild Wings, and all these big franchises. Tukais, it's called Tukais, and they're on Grand and in Franklin Park. And we're gonna go with them. They have the technology, they have the printers, they have everything that you need.
For those of you who just joined us, we're talking to Temoc, and Temoc owns and operates with his family 15 restaurants. And the beautiful part about this story is that it's literally down to the very beginning. Organic is a good word, how he built this business. And the gentleman Pitbull is part of their team now. You're probably familiar with him, for those again who just joined us. Any other questions out there? Please.
Are your menu prices the same on DoorDash, Uber, and Grubhub as it is ordering direct through you?
Yes, sir. So Uber Eats and DoorDash and all those third party, they add their fee, but they honor our prices in the menu. So that's what I'm saying. It's a great thing. I mean, people are willing to pay. You know, with COVID and that, you know, and people get lazy, right? They just want the food at the doorstep, and hey, you pay the price, right? So it's well worth it.
Excellent. Well, folks, anything else before we break? Temoc, any last words?
Thank you so much for being such an attentive audience. I really appreciate you guys listening. By all means, you know, if you want to talk some more about interested in franchising Cilantro Taco Grill, it's a very profitable business. It's family owned, operated, and as a franchisor, you know, you're gonna get nothing but 100% support from us. So you'll be joining the family Cilantro Taco Grill. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.